Hello, language learners. Last year, I studied abroad in Sevilla for 5 glorious months with a wonderful program called Casa Sevilla. Around 2 months into the experience, the pandemic hit and our program was cancelled. But my own situation made going home complicated and I didn't feel comfortable flying through crowded airports at the time, so I made a decision to stay in Sevilla and shelter in place with my Spanish host family, 5 of the most loving and caring people on this earth. Overall, my time abroad was not traditional, but I gained another family, learned a different pace of life, fell in love with a language, and left with one of the most treasured set of memories in my life. I'll walk you through what my experience studying abroad in Sevilla was like through it all. Así que nada, al lío. My time in Spain kicked off with me packing my bags and boarding a plane out of New York and headed to Portugal and then to Sevilla. After a work-heavy junior spring semester, I was ready to dive headfirst into the unknown and focus on 2 things alone: rest and learning Spanish. I had studied Spanish throughout school, but it never felt like it locked in because I could never prioritize it. But this was my chance, so I told myself that I wasn't going to speak a word of English the entire time. I was either going to learn Spanish or I was going to starve. Once I landed in Sevilla, I had almost a month before classes began. So our program took us out on cultural and historical excursions, organized talks to acclimate us to the culture, and encouraged us to explore the neighborhood. I was with a great group of students from a handful of other universities, and we made sure to do a lot of explorations. We went around and did all of the touristy things and had some fun in the free-for-all days before classes. About a week into the program, we were introduced to our host families. These were Spanish families who agreed to host students to give them a taste of what it's like to live as a local. This is when I met the Palomo family, one of the most incredibly warm, loving, and down-to-earth group of people I've ever met. And I really can't wait until I can visit them again. These are my host brothers, Carlos and Pablo. They're twins and share the same birth month as me, July. Carlos actually made an appearance in one of my videos on university life in Spain. Then there was my hermanita, Candela, my host mom, Monica, and host dad, Pablo, Sr. And this was Mason, and this was Alicia. Alicia was a previous study abroad student who had stayed with the family in years past, and she was visiting us for that week. I shared a room with Mason, and he was also on a mission to learn Spanish, so this was perfect because it made it easier for us to both not speak English. After getting settled in with my host family, life in Sevilla started to shift. I began to feel less like a tourist and more like a resident, ingrained into the culture. I started eating home-cooked meals with the Palomo family. I saw a soccer game or two at the Estadio Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan for El Sevilla Football Club. I got a bike pass for, I believe, Sevilla Bikes and started using bikes all around to explore the town. I also joined a gym called Enjoy and would make regular trips to work out and then swim and then meditate in the sauna. I eventually joined a dance group as well at a studio called On Dance and started a dance hall class with a group of local Spanish students. And I started classes. I wanted to feel as much as a normal student as possible, and I also had some degree requirements to fill. So I didn't end up taking classes geared towards study abroad students specifically. I took a microbiology and biotech course, a product management and design engineering course, and a Spanish contemporary history course. I did manage to squeeze in a really fun course called Body Expression and Dance. By this point, we were about a month in, and I had a great rhythm. As for my Spanish, my head had stopped hurting from forcing myself to think, speak, and live entirely in Spanish, and I could express ideas better, albeit while making a lot of errors, but at least getting ideas across. And I could listen pretty well until you picked up the speed. With classes, I would get up in the morning and take either the train or public bus to get to class, take notes in lectures, and then bus back home for lunch with my host family. I was able to navigate from class to class, but it took all my focus to stay in the game, especially in the microbiome class with all those science terms. I luckily found a site called Wola that had class notes, so I used those to supplement my own since I definitely missed a thing or two in lectures. In classes, I also quickly started to make friends. To be honest, this really wasn't me because I don't think I had the language down enough to be able to talk to college students as well. But the students around me were so open and friendly that they made it really easy to make friends. I also met Jose at the University of Sevilla, and he's in one of my other videos. The rest of life was pretty fun. Enjoy was getting me in great shape, and the daily meditations gave me the most sincere state of inner peace I've felt in a long time. Some of the friends I made started taking me out to local bars, and I got to see a couple of local clubs too. I started picking up some new dance moves with my group, and I even made time for a few dates while in Sevilla. Things were really locking into place, and then a bomb dropped on us. We had started to hear whispers of something called the coronavirus, and very quickly we all got called in one day to our program center, and they dropped the news on us. There was a travel ban between the US and Europe, our program was getting cancelled, and we were all going home. We were all devastated, to say the least. There were tears in the room, then there was a mad rush to get tickets and leave as ticket prices back to the US skyrocketed. I held off buying a $1,000 plus ticket and went back home with my host family to cool off and think and call family before making plans. I eventually realized it would be pretty complicated for me to get back home to a place I could finish out the semester, and I didn't feel comfortable going into crowded airports to fly back home and possibly spread the virus to family and friends in the US. My host family was incredible, and they said that they would continue to host me in Sevilla as long as I needed if I couldn't go or chose not to. I've spent most of my life moving and readjusting to new homes, and I checked to make sure that I had medical coverage, emergency plans laid out, and talked to my family, so I felt pretty in my element. I knew that going out, the gym, and all the other things that I had gotten used to doing would likely go away, and we'd probably have to shelter in place. But for me, those had always been ornaments. I had really come to enjoy being with my host family, and knew that spending time with them indoors would be enough for me, so I decided to stay. Over the next 3 months, I stayed indoors and didn't leave the apartment. I think I had a 2-month streak where I didn't step a single foot outside the door while Spain went into lockdown. But we made things work. Every day at 8, we and all the other neighbors would go out to their balconies to clap for medical workers. And we'd all stay out on the balconies and shout across to our neighbors, and they'd shout back. Another neighbor would get these giant speakers and play music, so Tusa became somewhat of our neighborhood anthem. They'd also blast the Spain national anthem. And other days, people would get mics and sing songs for the entire neighborhood. I really felt a sense of community togetherness during that period, like I'd never felt before. The days themselves were filled with online classes and personal projects, cooking ventures in the kitchen, a lot of movie marathons, and family dinners around a dinner table, as well as card games of Continental. I had really come to enjoy family dinners and was loving the experience of being all together around a table. Mi hermanita Candela actually had her birthday, and I made her a pretty sick birthday video with clips that all her friends had sent in and family members had sent in. And we recorded our part too, and there was music and messages, and we enjoyed it together and surprised her with it. So I think that went well too. My host brothers and I started going up on the balcony to do rooftop workouts, and I challenged them every once in a while with a couple of burpee sets. All in all, we really turned the situation around and made it work for us. By this point, I think I was one of the only foreigners in Spain. Eventually, when restrictions started lightening up, we went out and took some distanced runs. Eventually, as summer approached, the start date of my summer internship got nearer. I would have stayed in Spain, but the internship was too good of an opportunity to pass up. I debated it a lot, but I decided to eventually fly back to the US for my summer internship. And that was the wrap-up of my experience in Sevilla. Untraditional, meditative, passionate, un regalo. I hope you enjoyed the video and got a lot out of it. Come back for more videos in Spain, Spanish, study abroad, and I'll catch you next time. Sending good vibes and energy to you all, and hasta la próxima.